What's happening, YouTube, and welcome to a brand new PRLostGalaxy2014 review on Hasbro's Power Rangers Lightning Collection with Street Fighter, because this is like one of two of those reviews, because at the time of this I have already ordered Cammy as the Stinging Crane Ranger, but I'm not sure where I can find Ken as the what was his Ranger again for these Power Rangers Street Fighter crossover figures in the Lightning Collection. But for right now, we're going to take a look at Ryu and Chun-Li as the Crimson Hawk Ranger and the Blue Phoenix Ranger, respectively. Now, my history with Street Fighter is complicated, because like it is a great fighting game franchise, even though I have played Street Fighter V and I have used these characters in Power Rangers Battle for the Grid. I have yet to unlock them on Legacy Wars. But who would have thought and imagined that Street Fighter and Power Rangers would cross over together? And I remember hearing about this crossover first through that short film to promote Legacy Wars, and I've always been aware of the Street Fighter franchise, but I just wasn't so huge on that franchise accordingly. But as time progressed and I started playing games like Street Fighter V, at the time of this I have yet to get Street Fighter 6 on my PS4. And I really wasn't really much of a big Street Fighter fan until I played the game, and then seeing them cross over with Power Rangers, and that's what got me to want to get these figures also. I mean, got them in the games, so why not, in toys, because this is the first time owning both these two characters as action figures, and let alone the fact that Ryu and Chun-Li are like two of the most popular characters in Street Fighter, alongside Ken and Cammy. But although Ken and Cammy also have Ranger forms as well, I will get a hold of Cammy when I get her figure as the Stinging Crane Ranger, and once I get Ken as his Ranger form, then I've gotten all of the Street Fighters as Power Rangers. So with that being said, let's take a look at each of them one by one. This is how their packagings look, especially looking at Ryu's packaging. And I believe that once I unbox these and review them, they do possibly accordingly do come with figure stands if you want to display them just standing up and stuff like that. And okay, this is Cammy's packaging, and she even probably has a figure stand with lightning effect pieces and everything included. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at both of them. We have Ryu and Chun-Li out of their respective packages, but just take a look at these figures in great detail, knowing the fact that as much as I like the figures and I like the suit designs for them, who would have thought that they would look great as Power Rangers? Wow. I just don't know how like Hasbro really knocked it right out of the ballpark with these figures and how well detailed. I wish they could have did more of Street Fighter and Power Rangers crossover figures in the Lightning Collection. By the way, I also got the Ninja Turtle figures on the way as of this recording, so be on the lookout for those reviews for the TMNT MMPR Lightning Collection packs as well. But like, just take a look at them. I mean, we gotta take a look at some basic stuff like interchangeable hands for Ryu and Chun-Li. So Chun-Li has the white hands as they are, and Ryu has these crimson burgundy looking hands, and so you have those and put those on the side. They do have each what looks like a figure stand, but where to put, I think you have to put the figure stand, I think you should put these effect pieces on the figure stand somewhere and put them on display, or I don't think so. I hope they would work that way for that. But the lightning effect pieces are very huge, because they are very reminiscent to how every time you play a Street Fighter game, and then think about the effects of the characters when they do a certain special move and stuff. This is pretty impressive that they actually made these effects, and these effects are huge compared to the usual lightning effect pieces we usually get for Power Rangers. But the Street Fighter characters get these big effect pieces because, well, they deserve that. For Chun-Li, though, you want to do that effect where she does that special kick. That's that lightning effect piece for that foot. When she does that, rapid, kick effect, that rapid kick move when she beats up your opponent, like in all of the games. Yep, she does. You got that effect. So that's really impressive and pretty outstanding for them to do that effect. But yeah, I got to admit, these are some decent lightning effect pieces. You got this effect for Chun-Li. I think this is supposed to be like for her hands or something. And then this effect which I mean, is this supposed to look like the Phoenix? But I know for a fact this is the Hawk effect because for Ryu. And I do like the way how candy translucent these effects are, and they're really darn good, and how they painted these effects and made them candy colored and translucent too. I really like that. And then the effect piece for Ryu when he wants to punch somebody. So you got that effect. But now let's take a look at each of the figures individually. Unfortunately, since we do have them in the Ranger forms, they don't come with their civilian heads, unfortunately, for Ryu and Chun-Li, unfortunately. It kind of sucks, though. Like, they should have came with, like, civilian heads. Like, let me go back, because I think I swear in the packaging... Nope, they never did do the civilian heads. I don't know why. Like, they would have been great if we had them without their helmets off, like what we do with the Rangers, you know, our Power Rangers. But the Street Fighter characters as Rangers, we could have had the civilian heads of Ryu and Chun-Li present with the figures, but I don't know why. But I'm not gonna like completely full on like rage and complain, but like I guess maybe they probably didn't have, I'm just gonna assume that they just didn't have the full-on character rights. I'm talking about Hasbro, that they probably didn't have the character rights to, you know, talk to Capcom when it came to the Lightning Collection figure treatments for the crossover, that they would go ahead and show the civilian heads with their Ranger helmets for the crossover. I don't know why they didn't do that with Ryu and Chun-Li, but still, nevertheless, these are all right solid figures, and I've also noticed that the shields for them are very reminiscent to Tommy's Green Ranger shield, and again, it's supposed to resemble that, but in the Street Fighter style. Even though when I look at, you know, Ryu's Crimson Hawk Ranger suit, it's very reminiscent of that of Tommy's White Ranger suit in some places, and I actually really like that. I really like the balance of white and what I think looks like beige or tan, or, you know. But I also noticed that his figure is a little loose. I think this is just for my figure. I don't know about Chun-Li, but Chun-Li is a little lanky on the torso, but Ryu is a little lanky on the waistline, unfortunately. This is probably just for my figure. I don't know why that's happening, because why is it that his figure is a little loose? Even when I got him out of the package, I mean, look how lanky and loose his figure is. But everything is very smooth on the, like, the knee crunches, ankle pivots is the same, but of course there's no toe articulation. So you don't have no toe articulation on either of these characters. Elbow crunch is all right, you know, but can be stiff sometimes depending on the character and depending on how you get them. And then the twisting of the arms, you'll see the arms are all right, okay on, you know, Ryu. Abdomen crunch is all right, pretty darn good on the abdomen. Head articulation, you got the head, you know. So, not much problems. It's just the only problem I have for Ryu is that his waistline is a little loose. So, we got to be extra careful with his figure and how you're going to pose him all together. But, okay, I'll just put him in the back. Now, let's take a look at Chun-Li. Now, Chun-Li as the Blue Phoenix Ranger is good as well. Like I said, the only problem I have is, or actually, no, her legs are also lanky as heck too, and, you know, from the abdomen, despite this is a female Lightning Collection, you know, body mold, but I don't know why is it that her waistline is also just as lanky. I didn't expect that either. But I do like how they sculpted her body straight from how she is in her franchise, and with the crossover for Power Rangers with the Ranger form. I do like the helmet. It's supposed to be, you know, because the helmets are supposed to be modeled after the Street Fighter characters they're based on. I do like the Blue Phoenix shield, and I've noticed that, you know, with the Crimson Hawk, his shield is all gold, but Chun-Li has like brown and gold on her shield. I mean, I'm not going to complain about that, because you got to go by the accents of the characters' color schemes. Okay, abdomen crunch. Abdomen crunch is pretty solid, and actually she actually articulates very well. Then we got to take a look at how they did, you know, because her skirt to the outfit is all rubber, so you got this rubber material 3D printed, and then the gold trims on the sides of her legs. Okay. Let's see about the knee crunches. Knee crunch is pretty solid on this leg. Okay, no problems right that with there. And then you got that knee crunch there too. So there you have it. So this was going to be really a rather real quick review, because for someone who has never collected Street Fighter merchandise, but just now slowly, casually getting into the franchise via like Street Fighter 5, Street Fighter 6 of this recording, these are actually pretty good standout figures. But the only part I have, and an issue I have with these figures is I've noticed how due to them being like packaged, plastic free packaged figures, because this was when Hasbro was like starting to start to peter out on Power Rangers, because we as we know, but I wish they probably should have actually cared more on the quality control, but that's okay though. But I do like how they came out though, because I really wanted to add them into my collection for the crossing over with Power Rangers, of course. But I just kind of feel like they really probably should have took extra care on how they were making these figures before releasing them. And yeah, even though these were like Hasbro Pulse exclusives at first, but I got these on Amazon, by the way. So I figured let's get them up, let me get them on Amazon while I had the chance. Take a look at some lightning effect pieces on Ryu. Or just have him pose and just pretend like he had the lightning effect piece and doing his Hagoken, or how do you do that? Yeah, because I'm trying to get that pose together too. Cause kind of like it, because trying to get those poses and something for the thumbnail too for the video to get people's attention, especially if you're a diehard Street Fighter fan. And if you're not that much of a Power Rangers guy like me, but I like both Street Fighter and Power Rangers. So I figured, let's get these. I figure I might get these figures and add them to my collection, because after all, as of this recording, I'm trying to get as much of Hasbro's Power Rangers Lightning collection as possible, because by 2027, I am not going to be collecting no more Power Ranger toys anymore, even courtesy of what Playmates is doing with the franchise, with the Mighty Morphin Reignition line and whatnot. So I'm going to try to do whatever I can with the Lightning collection, and then it's just time for me to call it quits. But though, in final thoughts, I actually do like these figures, and it was just not going to be much to talk about. But like, I really do like how they came out. I really wanted to add something Street Fighter related while I had the chance with Power Rangers, since these are in the Lightning collection officially after all. So I figured let me get them as well. So yeah, these were good figures, and I highly recommend it for anybody who's mostly a Street Fighter fan. But if you're not that much of a Power Rangers fan, I highly doubt that you would probably pick these figures up if they're available, if you're curious. So there you have it. So if you really enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe, drop a like, share this video with your friends, and I'll see you guys in the next review video for either Power Rangers, WWE, Transformers, Marvel Legends, and the like. And until next time, when I review my next Street Fighter Power Rangers Lightning Collection crossover figure.